Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score podcast presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Ryan, jam, two-hand monster flush off the inbound. Ryan, Gam, slam, jam.
Subscribe to us on Podbean, the Apple Podcast Store, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at TheFinalScore35 and TikTok at AGSpartanFan35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into the 177th edition of the TFS Pod US Open Week, live from the GAM residence. Beautiful day here in Belmont, Michigan. LPGA, Meyer LPGA Classic right down the road starting tomorrow. Check that out if you're in the area. Nelly Court is playing it, best female golfer in the world. Pretty cool. US Open, like you said, I think both NBA and NHL Finals 2-0 in that series for the Eastern Conference teams. The Tigers are still mid. We're one day closer to the college football and NFL season. We got a lot to talk about. This is going to be a fun pod. We're going to do quick hodgepodge and a fun little summer-esque spot for shot 2 on the par 3, and then finish it with U.S. Open and have some special guests on, which we're looking forward to, which we'll introduce later on. Without further ado, the podium. All right, I heard this the other day on the radio, and it was tough to hear. Apparently, I didn't know this. Army Navy is no longer standalone. There's going to be other college football bowl games that day.
Boo!
They ruined it. They tainted something that should stand on its own for those who fight for us, and it's an experience. The Army Navy game is huge. It's sold out already for next year. It's sold out in May. I mean, you're going to taint this because of they want extra money from the Frisco Bowl that's that day, whatever the hell is playing. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just sad. That really made me upset. Tired of it. The NCAA sucks. I guess it's not NCAA, it's more ESPN and college football. They just want their money, and then this, playoff schedule that they released is freaking ridiculous. It goes on for like a month.
Maybe when Trump wins, he'll reinstate it as the solo game, because he's one of the only presidents that I think he went 3 out of 4 years when he was in office, which is pretty cool. I definitely want to go to that game.
Yeah,
that's on my bucket list.
On the list for sure.
100%. All right, my podium this week. Dan Hurley, I think we might have talked about it a little bit last week about why would he go to the Lakers, not good for college basketball.
No, that came out after the podcast.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's been a week and a half or so since we did the podcast, because I was in Chicago earlier this week for NeoCon, my company's, I don't even, Super Bowl, if you want to call it that, for commercial furniture. But anyway, after about a week of being in limbo, UConn fans were probably sweating it out a little bit. I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I guess he won 2 in a row. What more can you do? Can you really win 3 in a row? Dan Hurley shunned the Lakers. Good on him. Probably because he found out he was going to have to draft Bronny to keep LeBron, and both of those for me. But it is a coup for college basketball. Why? Not because UConn won the last 2 years and because that makes them, a potential juggernaut to win 3 times in a row for the first time since UCLA in the 60s/70s. No, because Dan Hurley is a throwback coach. He is an Izzo type of coach. He's a Krzyzewski kind of coach. He's a Dean Smith kind of coach. He's a do it right. He's a do it with fire and passion kind of guy. And he's what college basketball needs. He's the one that's going to inspire the young guys that want to come back to basketball after the NCAA gets done effing things up. It's going to be a mess with or without him, but it's going to be less of a mess with him. And I think basketball can rebound a little bit if Dan Hurley comes back, which he is. That is great news for college basketball. And as a college basketball fan, as much as I don't want UConn to win again, I'm excited for that move.
All right, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on the Dan Hurley thing. I'm glad he's back. Very good for college hoops. All right, tee up this week. I mean, it's funny. I had this thought. I'll address this first, and then I will give my. I thought of this on the way to work Monday when I heard it on the radio, people discussing it. It's Caitlin Clark again. This is like 4 weeks in a row. We're talking about women's basketball.
Women's college basketball. Women's basketball wins. We're talking about it on this podcast.
That's right. I mean, so USA Women's Basketball Saturday came out with their Olympic roster for the games this summer in Paris. And Caitlin Clark, the best player arguably in the world, left off of Team USA. She's an alternate. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, you're like, oh, you know, she's too young, all this stuff. Okay, like Christian Laettner played on the Dream Team. LeBron played in the 2004. Like, all these people play when they're super young. Why
and this whole, she missed the workouts and the tryout. Like, she needed to try out. I mean, just from a business perspective alone, imagine how many jerseys would have been. How many people would have watched
it? Who would actually watch it? No one's.
But that pisses off the people who are pissed that she's getting the love. So, you know what? Guess what? Go to the Olympics and have nobody watch your games because nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, right. And this is my my conspiracy about this, that all of this Caitlin Clark thing, the knocking her down, all this stuff, treating her poorly, have people talk crap about her, all this stuff. It is planned by the WNBA. They're great at marketing because they know that people they're talking about this on ESPN. They're talking about on First Take, like Stephen A. Smith's talking about, Skip Bayless is talking about, Colin Cowherd's talking about, Dan Patrick's talking about. No one gives a crap.
It's on LinkedIn even.
Yeah, no one would talk about the WNBA before that. Maybe ESPN would show a couple highlights because they're woke, but they wouldn't do that before. Like, that was never a thing when I was growing up watching SportsCenter all the time. Never. And now they're doing it all the time because of this, because of one girl. They're taking advantage of it. And, I think they're telling these people to treat her like dirt so it's more publicity. People click on it. People will view it. They'll be like, oh, I want to check in on this. I'll follow them on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever. It's a genius marketing ploy is what it is by these people, just to get clicks, because no one gives a rat's ass.
Until Caitlin Clark gets smart and goes and plays somewhere in Europe and takes it away from the WNBA at some point in time. At some point in time,
a walking circus.
Yeah, it's not basketball for her at some point in time. And I think some people would applaud that and go, yes, she's gone. And guess what? Your game's going to shrivel up like a cold penis in an ice cold pool, just like George Costanza. So be careful what you wish for. Woke NBA, WNBA.
And she's been a pro through all this. She said all the right things. She's done. Like, she's not blaming any, pointing fingers. She's like, yeah, you know what? It is what it is. She's a mature person. And I think that angers these people, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, pisses them off that they can't.
Typical. It's America now, though. I mean, that's what it is. So I guess it is what it is. But we're talking about it, so the joke's on us.
Right. All right. First shot is presented by Norris Sports Group. NSG is a boutique agency of experts with 30+ years of experience in sports sponsorship and much more. Learn more about them today at norrissportsgroup.com. A quick hodgepodge before we get to a special segment 2. I've just got 3 things. Number one, just sad news that Jerry West passed away today. The NBA logo. I thought the characterization of him was, whether it was accurate or not, was great in the Showtime series that HBO had, and then got cut short. He's a legend. He's a classic. He butted heads with the Celtics for years and couldn't really quite ever get completely over the hump. West Virginia guy, face of the NBA. Obviously, he's the logo. Yep. RIP, and that's a couple of classic, SoCal players. Bill Walton was not much of a Laker as at least a Southern Cal guy, though. UCLA guy a couple weeks ago too. Here's a curious one. NCAA wants to end prop bets, and I don't say curious actually.
Smart. It's smart.
Interesting and probably smart, because I think they're seeing where it's going in that. Players can be bought, throwing games, right? Throwing games, and I'll do whatever to get under 10.5 if you give me enough money, and that's when gambling. That's why gambling was illegal to begin with. So smart on that if they do that. And honestly, I mean, wouldn't surprise me if it comes for all the other sports. Like, I think sports betting, it took people by surprise. Why, I'm not really sure that it was going to take off the way that it did, but it sure has. So shall be interesting. The other quick thing that I have is Sadie Washington, the new Michigan State assistant. We've been waiting for him. He's who we wanted. He's outside the program. He coaches bigs. Really excited about that for Michigan State basketball. Get the staff locked down. New roles for everybody. He and Thornton are kind of paired up with wings and bigs. You said, Ryan. Yep. TK and
Borkovich
are with the guards, and then you got Wojo is the overall associate head coach. So good on Michigan State for getting that hire done.
I love it. I think that it fits everyone, the way it should be. It's good stuff. Michigan State, couple commits in the last week since we spoke for football, so that's good. Keep growing the pipeline. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to touch on. NFL, they're getting mini camps going on right now, OTAs, whatever. That's cool. Trying to think. The Dan Hurley thing, getting back to that really fast, I think it's brilliant. Screw the NBA, screw the Lakers. He basically, big middle finger to
NBA is trash
to
basketball.
NBA.
I mean, let's face it. Like, and he's a college guy. It's like if Izzo would have left. It never. I get the allure, I get the money, and no matter if it works or not, but like you don't get to coach in the NBA. You are a babysitter. And ask the guys that have been fired after 1 year on good teams because they didn't win the title or whatever. Like, you don't need that kind of pressure. Enjoy building up these kids and continuing to build a legacy like a Krzyzewski, Smith, Izzo, Pitino type legacy at UConn. That's how I look at it.
That's right. I'm happy. I mean, I don't mind UConn. I never have. I've always respected their program. I think he's probably the best coach in the game right now. So kudos to him for staying and keeping the three-peat alive. Really. Looking forward to college hoops when it comes, but big stuff there. Then I guess we will move on to the next one here.
All right, second shot. We promised something a little bit new. I don't know why I cooked this up. Probably because, it gets to be summer and it can be kind of boring for non-golf fans. And there's just, we don't really care about NHL. We don't, minus a little bit in the intro. We definitely don't care about the NBA. We don't really care about Major League Baseball. So, new tradition here. We're going to do this before our open draft as well, because spoiler alert. U.S. Opens this week, so we got the par 3 third shot is going to be all about the U.S. Open, and we have special guests again. So this new one, I thought of this when I was out mowing the yard a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, you know what? We need a good summer playlist. So I've listened to Sirius XM, and they've got the SPF 200, what they claim are the 200 best songs of summer, and I've never even heard of half of them. And then Road Trip Radio has their Route 66, there's 66 best songs for road trips, which are marginally quite a bit better. And I'm like, no, we can do better. So what we've tasked our special guests to do, one can't be on the call today, Mitchapalooza, but we've got his picks, and he's going to be texted into the draft. And then we've got our special guest, Chris, back with us, my buddy from high school, Michigan State, my wingman. Chris is going to join us for this. So everybody was tasked with picking their 12 songs that they would pick if they were the only 12 songs they could listen to in the summer. They don't have to be summer songs per se, but that's the premise. And then Ryan's going to build a playlist for Spotify out of these 48 or so, and I'm going to build a playlist on Amazon. It's going to be the TFS summer playlist, and then we're going to do the next episode, just to kind of tip it off, is TFS Jock Jams, tailgate / stadium radio, and that's going to be sometime in July. So Chris, as our special guest, go ahead and rattle off your 12 songs that would be on your playlist.
Absolutely. So they're in no particular order. I just kind of, spent some time thinking about what 12 songs I'd like to put on this list. So starting off, we've got Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Then we got a little Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner.
Good call.
We've got Havana by Camila Cabello.
Oh, Ryan likes Camila Cabello.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So you can't all be old stuff.
That's right. Yeah, I took kind of the same approach.
Yeah. Then Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty.
Nice.
Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams.
Great song.
Yeah, that's a good song. 80s tune. Yep.
Then Shape of You by Ed Sheeran.
Okay. We heard a lot of Ed Sheeran. When we were in the Dominican, I don't know if it was like that at your resort, Chris, but when we were there was a lot of Ed Sheeran being played for whatever reason.
Yeah, we had a little bit. I know I definitely heard some, but yeah, we seem to have the same kind of songs on repeat daily.
Mm-hmm. Yep, same.
So, and then next on my list, we got to pay homage to the old glamour rock, the hair bands. We're going to do a little Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
Great song.
Then we're gonna put on a little Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's definitely a high school cruising around in Chad Zagel's Jeep jam.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. And then we've got Jump Around by House of Pain.
Nice.
And then Andy, I know you'll appreciate this next one. I can remember when we heard it for the very first time and saw the video on MTV at about 2 or 2:30 in the morning on campus at Michigan State. And that would be Baby Got Back by Mr. Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yes. Love it.
That's awesome.
And then another one from our college days that we used to cruise around with the stereo cranked all the way up was Paul Revere by the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, I remember that one. Heck yeah.
And then we'll close out my 12 with Hey Ya by Outkast.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, and no duplicates with my list. I don't know about Ryan's list, but those
is
are
on my list too. That's a good one.
Okay, so only one?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So the one rule I gave myself was no repeat on artists. So I tried to stay away from,
I like it.
Going down the rabbit hole of like, I like that Tom Petty song, and I like that, putting 2 or 3 from one artist on there.
Yeah, good call. I did the same thing.
You want me to
let's give Mitch's list.
Yeah, I'm going to read Mitch's. So Mitch called me a little before this. He's in a business meeting, so he could not be here. But he sent this. So he said he'd like to mix it up. So number 1, Fat Bottom Girls by Queen.
Yeah, I just added them to my list today, so I'm going to replace them with one of my honorable mentions.
And then his second one, Sarah's Place by Zach Bryan. I don't know if I've heard that one. And Noah Kahan. I don't know how to say that. Then 3 Nights by Dominic Fike. Don't know if I've heard that one either.
Good. We're going to mix this playlist up.
9 Ball by Zach Bryan. I Had Some Help by Post Malone and Morgan Wallen. That's on mine as well. Great song. White Horse by Chris Stapleton.
That's a good one.
And then he's got Johnny Dang by That Mexican OT. Never heard that. Burn, 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 Zach Bryan. Texas Sun by, I don't even know how to say that, Khruangbin.
Yeah, I can't even say that.
It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube. I like that one.
That's a good one.
All right.
And then Hell and Back by Bakar, and then Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg.
He's got the heavy country and then the heavy 90s rap. I like it.
Very similar to mine. Should I just do mine?
Yeah, go into yours and I'll go last.
So my number, I had some help. Is that I put 2 honorable mentions, but one of them's already been picked, and I think maybe another one. Actually, both have been picked.
Both your honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at that.
So I had some help by Post Malone, Morgan Wallen, my top song on Spotify right now, and then I'll go Chattahoochee by Alan Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
90s country. Then switch over to a little Jimmy Buffett, Volcano.
Oh, there's one off my list, too.
Number 4, I have I Ain't Worried by One Republic in Top Gun. And then number 5, a bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi.
Good call. That's a good new song.
Great song. Next one, I'll do a couple back in your guys' childhood generation. Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue. That's more probably mid-high school for you guys.
Yeah, that's a good one, though.
That was a classic, man. That's a banger.
And then I'm looking at the poster of the album this song's on, Panama by Van Halen. Then Rich Flex by Drake and 21 Savage. Everything I Love by Morgan Wallen. And then I also had Hey Ya on mine, but I do have another honorable mention that was never said. You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Beer for My Horses by what's his name? Toby Keith and Willie Nelson.
That's a good one too.
And then Truck Bed by Hardy.
Nice. We got a good little. There's definitely some 80s. There's some classic rock. There's some country. There's some rap. So you'll see that kind of a mix. I took I almost kind of went in in waves on mine, and you'll kind of get a feel for it. I didn't necessarily put them in an order that I would listen to them, but I listed them out. I did have a couple of mine have been noted, so I had a couple of honorable mentions that I'll plug in instead. So I have Hot for Teacher from Van Halen. That's my all-time favorite song, period. I think the intro just is like the most jam, and I could listen to that on repeat. I'm going to dip into the Beastie Boys' License to Ill like you did, Chris, but New Style, I think that is one of their most underrated, great songs. Love that song. Sometimes I'll just listen to that on repeat for an hour when I'm mowing the lawn. Go a little All Summer Long by Kid Rock. So that's my version of Sweet Home Alabama. A little Northern Michigan feel too. So I got a couple Michigan flavor songs in here. We'll go number 4. I got a little Beer Never Broke My Heart by Luke Combs.
Good song.
Ryan picked Volcano. I had Volcano from Jimmy Buffett. So we'll dip down to an honorable mention here. And I'm going to go Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy by Big and Rich. As my replacement for that. This is my ringtone, and so when I hear it on the radio, I always think my phone is ringing, but it's like still one of my all-time favorite songs as well. Night Moves by Bob Seger. That just has like a summer vibe to it too, which is cool. So there's your second Michigan part. We're going to go a little further back, a little softer. We're going to go Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
Okay.
And then we're going to jam it back to the 80s. I think Def Leppard's got a lot of great songs, but my all-time favorite is Photograph. So I'm going Photograph by Def Leppard. So a little bit more mellow, but I like it.
Ultimate playlist here.
Then we got Walk This Way, Run DMC with Aerosmith.
Yep.
Which I think is a classic. Then we're going to go back a little older country. Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash. And then
gotta get that deep voice of Johnny Cash in there for one.
Yeah, exactly. And then I got You Shook Me All Night Long, AC/DC. And I had Fat Bottom Girls, which is awesome by Mitch. So I'll go to my second one, our second Outkast on here. I'm going to go The Way You Move by Outkast.
Oh, great song.
Which is another good one, just like the beginning of that. So that's a heck of an eclectic playlist. That's, roughly 48 songs between us and our honorable mentions. There's going to be some music I've never listened to before. A lot of Mitch's picks I've never even heard of. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, actually. So we'll get that out. Ryan can put it out on our Twitter feed.
Yeah, I'll post
it. Maybe I'll even post it to LinkedIn because that's the only social media I do. We can put it on TikTok or something. Chris, you can share it. So we'll make sure if you're a Spotify listener, Ryan will have you covered. If you're an Amazon Music listener, I'll have you covered. And we'll go from there. So that was a fun one. We like to do the drafts. We like to do
Given that we have 3 Spartans on here, I'm really surprised that nobody picked AC/DC Thunderstruck.
Yeah. Well, I will say I started my list already for the Jock Jams, and Ryan mentioned one of those, and that's definitely probably on there too for me. So I saved some songs for the Jock Jams one that we'll do before the open picks. So that'll be interesting because I look at those as more like the pump me up, like stadium entry. Like those are going to have a different level of energy, I think, than this is a little bit kind of a mix of a little faster pace, you want to be a little nostalgic summer, and there's so many. I mean, I don't think any of these songs are really on either of those playlist things I've listened to on Sirius XM, but I just thought it's kind of fun to do something different. We like our drafts. We talked about what you get from the Ice Cream Man a couple weeks ago. We're always doing, whether it's drafts or it's brackets or whatever. So there you go. I've been wanting to do a music one, so we got our first music one out of the way, and we're gonna put it into play. So all right, now a word from our presenting sponsor. Let me move this out of the way so I can actually read my ad. Team Anders Realty will help you find the home that fits your wants and needs, and they make the process simple and fun along the way. The Anders have served thousands of clients for 30 plus years in the West Michigan area and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamanders.com. So shot 3 and the main reason for this week's podcast, the U.S. Open. The Big Daddy, in my opinion. I think I've talked about it before, a little bit of history. Ryan was born the day after the 1999
at Pinehurst
U.S. Open, which was at Pinehurst. It was, a duel between Payne Stewart and Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson, who I really liked at the time, can't stand him now, but I loved him at the time. His wife was due to go into labor any time, kind of like Scotty. He's like, nope. If my pager goes off, that's how far back we're talking, pagers, not cell phones. If my pager goes off, I'm out of here. And I made Kristen wait. She was getting induced anyway, but I made her wait to go to the hospital until after that duel was over. It was a classic. Unfortunately, later that year, we lost Payne Stewart in the tragic plane crash. And Pinehurst is just one of those courses, too, on my bucket list. I think what I like about the U.S. Open is more often than not, maybe all the time, Chris, you might be able to say this better. I think they're on public tracks. Not that they're always cheap.
Like LACC.
Sometimes they're on.
LACC was.
There's a lot of public.
They try to play as much public as they can, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, it's not always easy to do because public courses or whatever. But that Pinehurst is definitely on my bucket list. I'm looking forward to it. I think as we get in the draft, it's a bit of you pick what do you want? You want a guy that's straight off the tee because it's really dicey if you get a little bit off the fairways with kind of the scrub brush and all that kind of stuff. You definitely need a guy that can get it to the spots on the greens because those greens look absolutely brutal.
Donald Ross, bunkers everywhere, false fronts, false backs.
So I think the last time at least Keimer kind of ran away with it. Michael Campbell, it feels like, kind of ran away with it a little bit.
It was an 05
before that too. So obviously we like to see bad scores. Carnage, yeah, that's a good word for it. And we like to see tough golf, and we like to see it be close. So it's hard to say. There's a lot of guys that are playing good golf in the world today, so it'll be interesting everybody's strategy as we go into this. So Chris, those are kind of my thoughts. Love the U.S. Open's my favorite. I mean, I've got my Masters hat on that Chris got me when he was at the Masters this year, which I greatly appreciate. By the way, sweetest fitting hat I've ever had. Like, I've never pulled a hat out of a box and had it fit more perfectly than this hat. So I thank you for doing that. Masters may be nearer and dearer to your heart. U.S. Open's my favorite. What's your take on the U.S. Open overall?
The U.S. Open over the years, they've definitely tried to make that tournament one where, to win it, you're going to be at best 1 or 2 under par. They don't want this to be one of these 10, 12, double digit under par type tournaments. My take for this year is after last year at the LA Country Club, they are going to set Pinehurst up to be a bear of a test. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're talking about some of the waste bunkers and they called them pine blossoms. I'm not sure what a pine blossom is, but it's some sort of a scrub bush that they put down into these bunkers, into these runoff areas to make their lives even more difficult. And then, as you talked about, I mean, these greens at Pinehurst on number 2, at least, I mean, they're basically like an upside down teacup, right? I mean, there's very little flat space. Everything runs off and way, way off. I mean, look back, John Daly took 11 on the 8th hole, and I think he managed to get himself disqualified at that point. He was so frustrated, right? So, and I think that's some of the fun is to see these guys actually go through it and struggle. And I think they do a good job of setting it up fairly, right? So I don't think they make it, overly gimmicky or have too many problems. And, there was the year that they had to put water on between tee shots.
Shinnecock, right? Shinnecock,
so, they are willing to go back and do things that they have to, but the tradition around the U.S. Open is certainly if you're a groundskeeper, it's you're on the edge of losing the golf course. And when you talk to groundskeepers that have worked and been a part of U.S. Opens, they say basically that golf course is shot for a good month to 2 months afterwards. Well, they grow it back out and they get it back because they run it so dry and so fast and try and make it that difficult.
Yeah,
so.
And the weather this week there, I mean, that thing's going to be fried. It's supposed to be, I think, 91 tomorrow, 92 Friday, like 95 Saturday, and 92 Sunday. It's going to be hot. And, it rains Sunday night, I think, and then nothing in between.
Maybe the humidity will help a little bit, but it's going to be crispy. It's going to be tough. I mean, what do you think, Chris, if you had to peg a winning score? What do you think it'll be? You think -1, -2, right in that range?
Yeah, I think it's going to be right around even par. I just look. You've got guys like Scotty Scheffler, who's playing incredible golf. Xander, Colin Morikawa. These guys are playing great golf. It wouldn't shock me if one of those guys kind of came out of the pack and just got hot and managed to make a few putts and got to 3, 4, 5 under. But I think, with the weather and the way they're going to set this golf course up, I think this is going to be a bear of a test.
Yeah, I'm thinking 3-4 under probably wins it by 2 or 3 shots. To be honest, I think if you can stay anywhere between 2 over or less, I think you're gonna have a really good chance of winning it.
It's like the polar opposite of when it's at Pebble, because you get the June gloom, you get the kind of misty, heavy skies and whatever, and but the greens aren't necessarily a problem. The ball just doesn't fly as far, and then you got this where it's just going to be basically hell on earth.
Yeah,
which in my mind is actually
it's
like Thriller popcorn meme watching. I don't want to see guys struggle, but I want to see like the best shot makers. I think that's what we're not sadists, right? We don't want guys to just shoot 10 over because we want them to suck. We want guys to shoot 10 over that deserve to shoot 10 over. I want to see them. If they're the best in the world, I don't want to just, they can hit it 360 yards. I can't. So, I want to see a guy who's got to keep it strategically in the fairway, and he's got to play to pin spots and whatever. Like, to me, that's the measure of strategic and being a good golfer. And it's not just all about the Bryson DeChambeau, hit it as far as you can and go from, gouge from there.
Well, Smiley Kaufman said it best. He said this is a second shot golf course more than anything in the world, probably out of any U.S. Open venue, just because you have to know where you're putting your shot, because if you don't, it's going to roll off the green into a bunker. You're going to have a weird lie. You're going to have an uphill, putt or chip or downhill. I mean, it's squirrely like that, and that's what makes it great. I mean, see a lot of Texas wedges around the green, a lot of bump and run with hybrids or woods. It takes creativity for sure. Smart golf and obviously really good golf is going to help you win, but it's honestly going to come down to iron play and short game, really, I think.
And putting, like not putting it off the green.
Yeah, like keeping it in there.
Look, I think to me the putting is probably for them has got to be the most frustrating part, right? Think about it for us as an amateur. You get on a course that got the greens mowed, nice and tight, and they're rolling real fast. It's really tough as an amateur, right?
Right.
What I love about the U.S. Open is just what you talked about. Look, for these guys, they're so precise with their yardage and being able to work the ball left to right and right to left and put the ball really, almost exactly where they want it on the green, right? The U.S. Open is that test, and as an amateur, what I look at is, look, for us, most of the time, I'm just trying to hit the green, let alone go after a flag, right? So It's fun to watch them struggle. It's fun to watch them off the side of the green hit that chip shot that either doesn't make the green because it's downhill, or it gets up on the green and rolls back to their feet because they didn't hit it quite hard enough.
Right.
Because as amateurs, we do that garbage all the time.
All the time, exactly. Right? Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's, for me, it's fun to see them really have the nerves and the anxiousness and those things that drive us all nuts as amateurs. And I think that's kind of one of the coolest parts about the test that the U.S. Open presents.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
It's gonna be fun. I think 6:50 is the first tee time tomorrow. So
yeah, and so
in early.
So getting into the draft, this is our first 4-guy draft, which will be fun. Ryan's gonna, like we said, Mitch Palooza is on a conference call, so Ryan's gonna text him with what's been picked. He volunteered to take the 4th spot in the snake, so we're gonna go a snake draft. We're gonna pick 4 guys and an alternate, and then a DFL as well, as we kind of instituted the last time where we picked the alternate. Rule is if you're going to put your alternate into play, you got to put him into play Friday night before Saturday. So you want to swap a guy out if your other guys all made the cut or whatever. That's your call. Excuse me. That'll be how it goes. Ryan, what's our order?
We're going to go Chris, me, Andy, and then Mitch.
Little random
snake
draw, and then
style,
we'll work our way back. Yeah.
Like we did last time. Let's without further ado, let's get this thing rolling. U.S. Open. This is our 3rd time doing this. This was Mitch's idea, so shouts to you, Mitch. Wish we'll get you on for the Open.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris, if you would like to, I have just a slight guess of who you might pick, but
plus odds to win, which is insane.
I mean, like, yeah.
Well, if you're going to get the first pick, I don't know how anybody would not pick Scotty Scheffler. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely going to take the perceived and most likely front runner in Mr. 1 Scotty Scheffler. as long as the Louisville Police Department stays
Yep.
in Louisville.
But did you see Pinehurst tweeted? They tweeted that he's not invited or something like that. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
look at the guy finished 8th with all that stuff going on at the PGA. I mean, he's even if he didn't win last week and hadn't won an ungodly amount this year, he's an incredible iron player. And his putting has gotten back up to
gotten a
snuff,
lot
and he's
better.
got an imaginative short game. And those are the things, like we said, you need on a course like Pinehurst. I mean, and he's pretty accurate off the tee too. I mean, he's mostly number one in most categories.
Yeah,
He's
he's really straight and
pretty-
off the tee.
pretty
I
crazy.
sent you this the other. Kyle Porter from CBS tweeted this. Scotty Scheffler has lost to 9 golfers across 8 tournaments since March 1st and 1 detective.
That's great.
That's it.
And one detective.
That's it.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, that is like...
I mean, I know he hasn't won as many. Like Tiger won that ungodly amount one year, and he won all the grands, all the majors in a row, not in
Tiger
the same
Slam.
year. The Tiger Slam. But this has got to be up there. I mean, like it's just his dominance, and it was said. JT said it during the Heritage in Hilton Head when he was on, like the side broadcast or whatever. He's like, the problem that we all have is that Scotty's bad is way better than our bad. Like his bad is 1 or 2 or maybe 3 under par, and everybody else's bad is 2, 3, 4 over par. I mean, even as mediocre as he played, the week after the PGA in Dallas, and still finished second. Like that's just unreal.
Well,
So-
I have more Scotty Scheffler things while we're talking about him here. So the gap in, also Kyle Porter tweet, the gap in total official world golf ranking points between Scotty Scheffler and world number 3 Rory McIlroy is the same as the gap in the official world golf ranking points between Rory McIlroy and world number 613 Anthony Quayle.
Holy cow.
Wow.
That's insane.
That is on another one. Kyle Porter, golfers in the last 40 years to win 6 times on the PGA Tour in a season, including 2 majors. As if Scotty wins this week, Nick Price in 1994, Tiger Woods 2000, 2005, 2006.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
That is rarefied air for sure.
And then last one here. Scotty has more worldwide wins since January 1st, 2022 than Patrick Reed, Adam Scott, Cameron Young, Tyrrell Hatton, Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, Jason Day, Jordan Spieth, Will Zalatoris, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Bryson DeChambeau, and Hideki Matsuyama combined. Unbelievable.
So what Ryan's saying, Chris, is that he's giving you the announcer jinx.
Yeah, no, he's
Right.
going to play really well.
He is.
Well, I had a thought while Ryan was going through all those stats, and we were talking about Scotty at the PGA and finishing 8th. Imagine this: we got 2 tournaments to go, 2 majors to go here. If he wins the U.S. Open and then wins the Open Championship, how big is that cop arresting him and that whole shenanigans that went on that morning going to be?
Right.
As far as him possibly being the first person to win a Grand Slam in the same year since Bobby Jones did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just
that's not even. Oh, that's just
crazy. And he's only 27.
He's young.
Right.
He's super young.
Not like he's old either.
Right. Tiger had the Tiger Slam where he held all 4, but it was not in one calendar year.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Insane.
Crazy.
I mean, Scotty's at least right now the closest or the most likely to even get a Tiger Slam. It'll be interesting to see, as you said, he's really young. It'll be interesting to see how the next 5 to 10 years go.
Yeah, because once Spieth and his wife started popping out kids, his game kind of fell back. Although he's a little bit more Phil-like, and he's a little bit too, risk taker, kind of sprays the ball all over the place. I think that's a little bit of a difference. Is Scotty's
so
just
consistent.
ice cold, like he's just so consistent. And minus the one, was it the 9th hole the other day in the Memorial where he took a 7? He sprayed a couple drives and tripled, and then he bounced right back from that and had a birdie. I mean, the guy's he's just ice cold. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
really good. All right, I am up. I'm going to go with a guy that I think he's playing like the second best golf in the world. I don't know what he's ranked. He's got to be top 10 now, but he's been right there, knocking on the door all year. Colin Morikawa for me. I love the way he's been playing. His iron game is absolutely off the charts. In his putting, I think if he can get the ball into position and not, he's not great with his wedges around the green, but if he can get in position and, make 2 putts and hang around even par, I think he's got a really good chance at this thing. The way he's been playing, he's pretty straight off the tee, likes that, buttery, fade. He's not a big drawer of the golf ball, but I think that he fits well. He's pretty straight off the tee, not very powerful as far as club head speed, ball speed, all that distance. But he's pretty consistent. And he has been all year. I think he's due for another good week, and if he gets this, he would have the third leg of the Grand Slam for his career, which would be pretty crazy. He's also pretty young, 26, 27 years old as well.
Speaking of having 3 legs of the Grand Slam, I got to go with Rory. A couple weeks ago, before the PGA announces he's splitting up with his wife, this week he comes back and says they're not splitting up. Somebody on Golf Channel said that he just was noticeably lighter. He's been playing really well. He's been kind of like a few holes away, several tournaments, I think, this year, or maybe one bad day. He's too good to have not won a major in a while. So it will be, I think he's got a good shot. I haven't seen him on many pick lists that I've been kind of looking at, but
he's plus 1,000.
I think he's got the experience, right? And he's a good player. It's not exactly the same, obviously, over in Ireland, Scotland, whatever, but they're kind of the moundy and, kind of weird, tricked out type of play, scrubby play. So it's about as close as you can get to maybe that style. So I'm going to go with Rory with my number one pick.
Yeah, Mitch hasn't. I just texted him. So wait a second. But getting back to the odds, Scheffler, last I saw, plus 280 to win. I mean, that's ungodly. That's Tiger.
That's crazy.
Tiger numbers. And Mitch just texted me back. He's going to go with his first pick. He's going to go Xander.
Good pick.
Very good pick. Then he's going to go Mr. Brooks Koepka. Already two-time because he won at Erin Hills in Shinnecock.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was my pick on the PGA. Brooks is a good pick, so it's back to me. I'm gonna go with your boy Ryan Ludwig Aubert.
Yeah, I like him.
I like his game. He's been playing a little bit better after he kind of got hit the skids a little bit. And he got a little bit dinged up, but he seems to be playing good again. So I'm gonna go with Aubert as my second pick.
Yeah, I like him. He's gonna be a player. I hope he wins at least something. Oh, man, my second pick here. This is where it gets kind of tough. Let's go. I'm gonna go Victor Hovland. I bragged on him during the before the PGA, and he's played really well.
He's gonna play pissed off after his Saturday at the Memorial.
Yeah, he's playing really good golf. I think that he's got a good chance to. I don't know if he'll win, but I think he'll play well. He's built for it. He's a pretty good player. So, and he's getting back to where he was at the end of last year, which I think will pay off here in the U.S. Open.
All right, so I got my second and third picks here, huh?
Yep.
All right, so for the second pick, I'm going to go with somebody who's been hot lately, played really well in the last couple of majors, but I'm not sure that Pinehurst in this test is really going to fit his game, but I'm going to go based on just the way he's playing right now, and that's Bryson DeChambeau.
I like it. Bryson's...
he actually became infinitely more likable somehow at the PGA.
Because he changed his hat.
Changed his hat, but I mean, just like he got after a guy who stole a ball that he threw in the crowd for a kid, and I think he's working on his PR a little bit. So he would have been one I would have never picked, never touched with a 10-foot pole before, but I don't mind that pick. I think obviously he's a bomber and he's won the U.S. Open.
But he's gotten better where he's not, just swinging out of his shoes every time.
And he's pretty calculated. So you talk about a guy, it'll be interesting to see how he holds it together because he tends to get frustrated, how he can do with how things go.
Yeah.
To me, for him at the U.S. Open, it's going to go one of two ways. He's going to be up in contention or he's going to be DFL.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Right? Because he runs hot. So, if he feels like this test is unfair and just impossible, I could, absolutely see him putting up a big number.
Yeah, definitely could see that.
All right. For my third pick, we'll stay on the Live Tour here, and we'll go with Mr. Cameron Smith.
Oh, I like that. That was
great putter. Yeah, he was definitely on my list. He's
a good short game. I mean, that's a really good pick.
He's a nice player.
Yeah, and he's played well this year. And sticking with Liv really quick, Rom withdrawing with a toe injury, which is weird because he went to Pinehurst, did all the media stuff, and then he withdrew, which is odd, but whatever. He's a weird guy. Whatever. Okay, my turn again. I'm going to go with a guy that has not had a great year. And then this past week he pulled up a top 5, and he's really good, precise player. And he won the U.S. Open 2 years ago. Matt Fitzpatrick. Really, he's very calculated as well. He's literally tracked every single shot he's taken, whether it be on a range or in a round. He knows the distance he hit it, the club he hit. So he's a geek. And I don't know, playing well last week at the Memorial
U.S. Open experience.
And
Obviously,
he's won the U.S. Open before on a tough track at up in Boston. What was that course called? Why is it forget? Brookline. Yeah. I don't know. I think he's gonna have a good week. Sneaky.
All right, I'm gonna go with a guy that we keep thinking is gonna we want to will him to get there, and if he doesn't do it, he's still young, but if he doesn't do it in a few years, he's gonna be the guy that hasn't yet won a major. He's gonna be the next Xander. I'm gonna go with Max Homa.
Okay.
With my third pick. I think he's a little bit of a long shot, but I like his approach, his mental approach, and I think that, he can do some good things out there, so I'm going to go with Mr. Max.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think he's a really likable guy. He was playing well earlier this year. He seems to have fallen off.
Yeah, he does.
Since the Masters.
Weeks, so.
Hoping for a little resurgence.
So, yeah, since the Masters season been great. And fun. Well, while I wait for Mitch, he texted me back. I didn't know they played the Tour Championship at Pinehurst in 1991 and 1993. Why don't they switch it like that now? That'd be cool if they did that, wouldn't it?
The Tour? You mean the TPC?
No, the Tour Championship, the final
the
season.
The one that's at East Lake?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but what year did you say, Ryan?
It was in the early 90s.
But the Tour Championship as it is today, that didn't exist.
True. That is true.
Right. So I don't know what that tournament was, but it was not what we're doing at East Lake now. I'd have to go back and dig through the history as to what the Tour Championship tournament was.
Right. Okay, Mitch just got back to me. These are his final 2 picks. He's got Mr. Justin Thomas, and then Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh man, I liked Fleetwood. I was hoping
great iron player. I think he's gonna be up there and contend. Because it's a major, and that's what he does. He didn't win, but he contends.
All right, my fourth guy is maybe a smidge of a long shot, based on his odds, but I'm going to go with Keegan Bradley.
Okay,
interesting. Right.
I like Bradley. I like his game. He's another guy that I didn't really necessarily care much about until I watched the way he got kind of shafted during the Ryder Cup stuff on the Netflix Full Swing series, and I instantly started to like him.
Yeah.
Like the way he handled the whole, what's his nuts, picked
Zach
Johnson didn't pick him and picked his boys instead, and he just handled it with grace and, humility, and not that means you're going to win golf tournaments, but he kind of rises up. He's won a PGA, obviously, so he knows what it takes to win a major, and so I'm going with Keegan for my fourth pick.
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
I think he could be a bit of a dark horse. I'm gonna go. No, I'm just kidding. No Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
I think he could make the cut. I'd put money on him to at least do that. And I'm looking through here. Man, what do I do here? Do I want to go with my? Yeah, let's go with my boy. Another guy that started playing well lately, Tom Kim.
I like Tom Kim.
Yeah,
Thomas
the
Tank.
Yep, I like him. He's young. He's due for a good major performance. He's playing. His form's really good right now.
All right.
Chris,
so
you got the last
am I
one.
picking my fourth and my alternate?
Yes.
Or just my
Let's do that.
All right. So for my fourth pick, we've taken a lot of really good names off the board here. So let's man, this is tough. For the fourth pick, let's go with Mr. Will Zalatoris. He hasn't been playing great this year, but he certainly contended in some majors, so hopefully he'll kind of get things rolling in the right direction and going back together.
I like
and
it.
then for my alternate, let's go out on a limb a little bit. Let's take Saith Theegala. He's been playing well lately. Not sure I'd pick him as a winner, but he might have a top 10 finish in him.
Yeah,
So,
I like it. I like Sahith a lot. He's a good man. I definitely like that one. All right, let's see. What should I do here? You know, I have Wyndham Clark on my list, so I'm not going to go him. I don't like the form. I don't like the way he's played since he won at.
He has not
Pebble.
played very
He's
well.
played
Yeah.
horrible, and he's complaining about all the greens. They're borderline. That's code for I'm going to play like crap in this tournament. Oh, man. This is my dark horse for this tournament. I don't know if he'll win. I don't know if he'll place top 20 or if he'll miss the cut. Russell Henley. That is a name I keep seeing as a dark horse, and I like it because he's played well this year. He's a great iron player. I don't know. I have this feeling he might contend, and I don't know if he'll win, but I think he might be a top 10, top 15 kind of guy.
My alternate is
interesting pick.
my alternate is a bit of a stretch because he is long odds, but he won the North-South Amateur last year. He's actually, he won as an amateur this year on the tour, and he's been up there. I think he played pretty well this last weekend at the Memorial, and he's been playing well. And that's Nick Dunlap, the last amateur since Mickelson had won a PGA tournament when he won the Amex. So I'm going with Dunlap as my fifth pick.
All right, Dunlap. I like that. Smiley mentioned him on the Smiley Show, which if you love golf, that show is pretty fantastic. So Nick Dunlap is your alternate. I'm waiting to hear back from Mitch here.
Thought about Tom Hoagie. I kind of like his game.
Yeah, I also thought
Got a good short game.
I think another guy, Sepp Straka. He's the walrus.
Yeah.
I like to call him.
Harmon,
No, I don't think he'll play
human
well.
rain delay.
No, waggle,
Yeah,
waggle, look up, waggle.
Tony Finau.
Yeah,
Tony.
Finau. Yeah.
He played well last week. He's a good iron player, decent putter. Yeah, I like that.
Shane Lowry.
Yeah,
That's
Lowry, I
another-
like him.
Yep.
Mitch came back with his alternate. It's going to be one Tyrrell Hatton, the
Mad Hatter.
the Mad Hatter himself, the human. I don't even know what he is. A ticking time bomb. I could see him playing well. He likes tough golf courses. All right, that's all of our picks, including our alternates. Let's do DFL.
All right,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I got a question for DFL. Can we repeat a pick for DFL?
You're gonna pick one of
Yeah,
one of your
why-
guys
why
or one
not?
of our guys?
No. I got somebody in mind for my DFL. if
Yeah,
that makes
sure.
sense, if
I think
can
that's
pick
fair.
it, but-
I think
All
it's
right, so
fair.
my DFL is going to be the one and the only Mr. Tyrell Hatton. I have a feeling that he will DQ himself sometime before Friday.
Because of it would not surprise me, to be honest, Chris. I mean,
He's going to pull the Phil and run after his ball and hit it like he did at Shinnecock.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
he is so fiery, and this golf course is going to be so hard.
uh-huh.
Like, when we had DFL, I'm like, I got to pick Tyrell Hatton. I just think this guy is going to lose his mind.
He'll love
he
it.
very well could. I'll say Mitch's here. He gave me his guy. The guy gave me is Riki Kawamoto from Japan. I've never even heard of this guy. That's probably why he picked him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find a little background on him. He's only 24. To qualify, he shot a 68 and 63 at the Hino Golf Club Kings Course in Japan on May 20th. So he's pretty good. I mean, that's good scores. Earned his first U.S. Open berth by shooting 9 under par. To share medalist honors in the Japan final qualifier. He owns 2 career victories in Japan, both coming in 2022. Turned professional in 2021. His sister played in the U.S. Open, Women's Open. That's pretty cool. So joins another guy I also like this week, by the way, Minwoo Lee. He's pretty good. Could see him being up there as well. Dad, you want to?
Yeah, for my DFL, By the way, here's another guy that could have been a sleeper pick that I've seen as a sleeper pick is Billy Horschel, but I'm going to go.
He's a good sleeper too. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Eric Cole for my DFL.
Eric Cole. Okay.
Yep. Don't know why. Just sifting through the tee times, and that one struck me.
Saw it. You know what name
Gut
stuck out to
feeling.
me immediately when I saw his name on there? The human cigarette, Jim Herman.
I almost picked him.
That guy annoys me for some reason. I'm like Uncle Tom, where it just pisses me off. I don't know. He qualified. I think he shot pretty well to get in. But I think there's other names that could be DFL candidates for sure. I mean, like Cooch, well, maybe not though. I mean, he's older, but
qualified. I mean, Cooch kind of stands out. He steps up.
Peter
I
Mullen.
think it's fun. Like at a U.S. Open, I think it's easy to go you run through, pick amateurs, pick somebody that qualified on the qualifying circuit. I think it's fun to pick these guys like Ricky Fowler and guys that most people know.
Right. Yeah.
To see who.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, honestly, I think the amateurs sometimes fare better.
They're at least going to be in contention for a DFL. Right?
Yeah, and the amateurs sometimes fare better because they don't have the pressure, right? They're just out there like, hey, I qualified. I'm just going to enjoy this. Not that they don't have the courses and kick their ass, but like sometimes I feel like the amateurs are like an obvious pick, but they're not always the ones that end up being last anyway.
Right. Yep.
All right. I think that's all U.S. Open. Looking forward to it. Let us know who you think's going to catch that dub. I would venture to guess most people will say Scotty, but maybe not. Let's go to Sprint. Chris is going to join us for this one as well. I think, let's see, 1, 2. They're all golf questions, so this is one. What do you think's the best U.S. Open venue that they played at?
Wow, that's tough. I love Pinehurst number 2. I think that's definitely, been a consistent venue. Other one might be Oakmont.
Yeah, Oakmont's
those
really
classic
good.
venues where they played a lot of these
I think
tournaments.
it's at Oakmont next year.
Yeah.
Which will be cool. Dad, what do you think?
I've always liked Shinnecock.
Yeah, I said Shinnecock as well. I would put Pinehurst up there as well. It's been a while. I don't really remember.
And I like
it.
Pebble, but Pebble gets a regular tour event too. So I don't really like double dipping into a place that gets played already during the season. And I know it plays a little bit different or whatever, but Shinnecock. I like Shinnecock. I do like Pinehurst number 2 as well because it's different, right? Like we don't see them play a whole lot of courses like that.
I have a sneaky one actually. It's kind of a under the radar because they never play there. It's been 11 years. Marion.
Oh yeah,
that place
with
is
the little
sweet.
basket, the wicker basket flags.
That place is sweet. I think they're playing there in a few years, which will be great. Justin Rose will defend there. All right, worst U.S. Open or least favorite U.S. Open venue.
Oh man, Cherry Hill maybe in Denver. It's been a long time since they've had it, but I really can't. I can't say that I dislike any of them per se, but
I think for me last year at the LA Country Club, like I was super excited going into it, but then to see the course and the way it held up, it just didn't seem like a U.S. Open venue to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought, Chris. I'm saying because you heard about it, you're like, oh, it's tough. The Barrancas, it's the elevations. Those guys. What did Ricky and Xander both on the first day shot 62 or 63 or whatever?
Yeah, the record scores.
I think they both shot 62 because it was 9 under. That should not be happening. I mean, maybe once in a tournament if a guy gets hot, but 2 guys and basically finish within an hour of each other. No, not great. Who is one current golfer you would want to have a beer with?
Current golfer.
I think I would go probably with Rory McIlroy. I think that would be a.
Oh yeah, after the way he and Lowry celebrated at the
they
Zurich
sing
was
some
pretty
karaoke.
fun.
It's fun.
I mean, the obvious pick of guys, period, would be John Daly, but he's not.
obviously.
You can't really, consider him a current golfer. I'll go with his playing partner Shane Lowry because we'll end up in the same bar together.
Yeah, you're pound some Guinness.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go JT. I feel like he's kind of fun. I don't know why.
just talk shit and whatever else. Yeah.
Last one here. I thought of this one the other day. Scarier golf shot. Short-sided hitting over a large pot bunker, green side, or driving through a chute of trees?
Two very different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be short-sighted over the pot bunker. Driving through a chute of trees, even if it's a wide chute of trees, I still find the tree anyway. So.
Or just hit a wedge, right? Depending on how far the chute is. But yeah, I would agree. Like that shot over, like a short. It's like, I think it's those shorter shots that they're not necessarily full swings over any obstacle, whether it's water, over a pot bunker, over, waste bunker, over swamp, over whatever. I think those are the hardest shots for me as an amateur, are the less than full swing, because I can't hit a lob wedge 60 yards. Lob wedge is like an around the green tool for me. And I have a pretty decent gap between my sand wedge and my gap wedge. And so like if it's 80 yards, do I full swing a sand wedge?
Right,
and risk being short, or do I 3/4 swing a gap wedge and
skull it?
I agree with you, Chris. That is not a shot I like.
Well, yeah, and I think the other thing about that, Ryan, is right, if you're short-sighted with a pot bunker between you and the flag, but you got a fluffy lie in the rough, I'll hit that shot all day.
Yeah, I agree. That's true.
Right, but if it's a tight lie or a bad lie,
bare spot, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. And then put a house on the backside of the green. I can't tell you how many times I'm scared I'm breaking a window.
Dave Dauber would be shitting his pants.
Right.
Anytime a house is within 200 yards.
Yeah, I agree. The short-sighted pot bunker shot is very scary. All right, that is 177. Chris, we appreciate you joining. Always great to have you on. We'll have you on obviously for the Open in about a month. I think it's at Troon. Is that where it is?
Yeah,
Troon.
Yeah.
Hope everyone enjoys the U.S. Open. If you go to
Happy Father's Day.
LPGA, yep. Happy Father's Day to all dads out there. We appreciate you guys listening. And I'm going to do the quote today. I'll leave you with this one from one of my favorite movies, sports movies, and it comes from a U.S. Open movie, golf, the greatest game ever played. There are only two types of player: those who keep their nerves under control and win championship, and those who do not. Harry Vardon.
Good one, Rod.